try to bring him here. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap once. If you can hear the sound of my voice, clap twice. You guys are awesome. I was recently at the Ann Arbor Mini Maker Fair, and my booth was stationed just across the street from this guy, or just across the aisle from this guy who was doing Minecraft programming. He was showing a bunch of fourth graders how to do Minecraft programming. And I guess he had this thing where when he was trying to lecture them, he was like, okay, we have to make the special paying attention sign so that you can't, like, Minecraft on the computer while you're listening to the lecture. You guys are much better than those guys. Welcome to A2NewTech. Is this anyone's first time at A2NewTech? Okay, wow, I'm really impressed. So what we try to do is we try to have 4 or 5 area startups come and pitch their company, tell us what they're about, what their business model is, what they're doing. And then we have a 5-minute Q&A so the audience can ask them questions, perhaps give them some advice, clarify what they heard in the presentation, that sort of thing. And then after the event, usually people stick around for a while, sort of a mixer. And then, I don't know, in the past we've gone to Pizza House a couple times. It's pretty nice out. Maybe we might head over to Dominic's. We'll maybe figure that out as the meetup goes on. There will be a slot for community announcements. There's a whole bunch of really cool tech events coming up between now and next A2NewTech. So I will announce those. But if you have community announcements, we'll probably do them between the 3rd and 4th presenters. So keep that in mind. We have a little different setup than usual. Roger is taking a much-deserved vacation this month. And so these 2 mics are ambient. You don't need to talk directly in them. But when we do the audience Q&A, it'll be really helpful to repeat the question so people can hear it on the live stream. Okay, and so without further ado, please welcome our first presenter, Alex from Why Don't We Own This?
Hi, everybody. Let's see. Get this up behind me. My name is Alex Alsup. I'm with Loveland Technologies in Detroit. Can you get the screen up? And we've developed a projector that does not show anything, which is very sophisticated technology.
There we go.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm going to tell you about how the unique environment of America's most bankrupt city led us to develop a parcel mapping system that we call Why Don't We Own This? So I'm going to start with talking about what a parcel is. We all live in the parcel layer. Parcel is a piece of land defined by the legal boundaries of the property. You see a number of parcels up there. And there's all kinds of data affiliated with parcels. Important data like who owns a property, what its taxes are, if the owner is paying taxes, what the property is zoned for. I like to think of parcels as containing the genetic code of a city. Here's a velociraptor from Jurassic Park with some genetic code on its face. But for all the value locked up in parcels, systems for looking at them and their data are typically clunky, difficult to use, and expensive. ArcGIS, one of the most commonly used platforms, can both map the migration patterns of plankton and show you tax roll information. It's a bit much. And Loveland had a need to develop a simpler, more efficient parcel mapping system because conditions in Detroit simply demanded it. For the last 5 years, Detroit has been home to the country's largest tax foreclosure auction, in which about 20,000 tax foreclosed properties are put up for auction for $500 a piece, and half don't sell. We developed Why Don't We Own This to track the foreclosure auction because it was and is a huge event, and no one else was doing a whole lot to map it and put it online. So I'm going to take you on a little tour in Why Don't We Own This of a neighborhood in East Detroit called Morningside. And this is Morningside. So this is Why Don't We Own This, and we are in the ownership layer. And what we can do is go down here into the top property owners and highlight who some of the top property, or what properties some of the top properties owners have in this area. Most of them are city agencies. All of the properties that go unsold in the annual foreclosure auction are inherited by the city of Detroit. The fate of those inherited properties is not very good. How is this happening? Well, if we click over to Morningside's tax distress layer, we see the data assembled by scraping tax payment records from the Wayne County Treasurer, the tax status of every property in Morningside. All the parcels that are colored in are either behind on their taxes, so far behind that they are subject to foreclosure, or they've already been foreclosed. If we then drop down into a individual property from this map, I'll go take a look at 3663 Maryland, we can click on the tax status to see that this property hasn't paid its taxes in a few years, and also that it owes about $2,000 a year in property taxes, yet the property is only assessed at $10,000. That's 20% of the property's assessed value in property taxes annually. The national average is like 1%, and it's not like this property owner is getting bang-up city services for his exorbitant taxes. So he's on track for tax foreclosure. But he's not alone. This is the tax distress picture citywide in Detroit. Everything colored in, again, scraped from tax payment portal for the Wayne County Treasurer, is behind on its taxes and subject to foreclosure. 110,000 properties citywide owing more than $500 million in overdue taxes and penalties, in addition to 70,000 properties that are already owned by the city of Detroit. So when we presented to the Blight Task Force last October, they asked us, if you guys could do anything to get a grip on the physical state of the city right now, what would you do? And we said we would take this nifty little property survey app we've developed called Blexting, and we would go out and take photos and record condition information for every property in the city. And they said, that's a great idea, go do that. And then we had to figure out how to go do that. So what you see here is our property survey management dashboard. Those blue dots are our surveyors scurrying around the city, 150 of them through the harshest winter in 120 years in Detroit, surveying 17,000 properties a day using Blexting, and within 35 days of surveying, they'd surveyed all 400,000 properties in Detroit. Thanks. And now we can do neat stuff like this. We can see an area that has been completely surveyed. And if I want to say, show me all the vacant properties in this area, they will pop up. All right. And that's basically where we're at. Coming next is the rest of the country.
Okay, now is the time for the 5-minute Q&A, and please don't forget to repeat the questions.
Yes.
So we can get it on the live stream.
Yes.
Is this a pure civil service project, or are you planning to try to make money on it?
So we want to take, the question was if this is a pure civil service project or if we want to try to make money on it. So our mission is to take public data and make it accessible to the public through our free public platform. Why don't we own this? We want to put every parcel in the country online and give people the ability to look at their neighborhoods. We have a software as a service based subscription model platform called Site Control, which is all of the information that we have in Why Don't We Own This, but private to you and your team. So it's kind of like Google Docs for property. Surveying properties, building maps, sharing maps, importing and exporting CSVs, as we all love to do. So that's the business side. Yeah.
How did you get the 120 surveyors or 150 surveyors?
How do we get well, so the question was how do we get 120 surveyors? So this was, this project was brought to life out of the Detroit Blight Task Force that was charged with getting a grip on the, sort of physical state of the city.
So city people.
Yeah, these were all Detroiters that were trained to do the surveying, yeah.
Is this residential as well as commercial properties?
Every parcel in the city, all 400,000, yeah. Yep, sure.
So is your target market more investors that are looking to buy out multiple parcels, or is this data more useful to a one-off buyer?
I think it's useful to, everybody who's interested in what's going on with property. I'm sorry, the question was whether this is relevant for individual buyers or more people who are trying to buy multiple parcels of land. And I think it's useful to anybody who's interested in property in their city or any city that we have online, from the neighborhood organization that's trying to get an understanding of what's going on with publicly owned properties in their area, up to real estate developers who are looking for opportunities, to individuals who might not have considered moving to a city like Detroit or Gary, Indiana, or Macon, Georgia, but when you present them with the information that makes up that city's property, they can find opportunities.
Can you talk a little bit about scalability? I mean, it seems like this is a massive undertaking just to get all the properties in Detroit, let alone moving into other cities. It just seems like an overwhelming amount of manpower needed.
Sure. Well, surveying the entire country would be hard, but so I'm sorry. Again, the question was about scalability. The survey, I think, is something that is certainly repeatable elsewhere, and I think there are instances where it would be useful elsewhere. But the mission of just putting the information online through Why Don't We Own This is pretty scalable, as long as there is a parcel shapefile for a city and assessor's information, which there always is. We can put a place on it. There's not always a parcel shapefile. But almost everywhere there is these days. We can put a city online. Yeah.
How do you keep track of the data? So let's say properties sells, or how do you keep track of the status of that, number one? And number two, what are some macro trends that you're seeing coming out of this data?
All right, so great question. The question was, how do we keep track of change over time, essentially, and macro trends that we see coming out of the data? Would you like to help us keep track of change over time?
Yeah, why not?
No, yeah. Well, it's a great interface and database question that we're starting to broach. What we have kept track of most closely over time in Detroit has been the tax foreclosure auction. Since 2011, we have every year track the tax foreclosure auction, what goes up for sale, what sells, what doesn't, and the macro trends there have been that there are a lot of tax foreclosures in Detroit, increasing each year. Yeah.
With all this data and transparency, what about the real estate agents? Do they treat this as candidates or something else?
I'm sorry. Say that again. I can't hear you.
With all this transparency, will the real estate agents treat this website as a friend or foe?
As a what? As a friend or foe? So the question was, would real estate agents treat this website as friend or foe?
It's like the MLS system, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would treat it as friendly. There's certainly been interest from real estate agents in the kind of data we put online, because I think we're not strictly looking at property data through a what's for sale, what's not for sale lens, but it's really the molecular level stuff that makes up the property in a city.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, while the next group is getting set up, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. A2NewTech would not be able to operate. Whoa, hold on, guys. We will definitely have time for discussion and after all the presentations. A2NewTech would not be possible without the University of Michigan Entrepreneurship Law Clinic. They're the ones that allowed us to use this venue. And also, R2 VIVE is the service that does a lot of the audio recording for our events. I know that everyone is very anxious to talk about what's going on, but please, if you could hold your conversation to the end, it would be greatly appreciated. So our next presenter is OChemPrep, and I believe Julia, you're doing the presenting?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And you guys are on HDMI? Cool. All right, thank you. Take it away.
Okay. Every year, 1 million students in the U.S. alone take organic chemistry. At a public university, $4,000. At a private school, way more than that. The problem is 40 to 50% of those kids will fail. At Startup Weekend, EDU, a couple weeks back, we reached out to students we did not know to hear their stories, their experiences in organic chemistry. And this is what they had to say.
I'm a computer science student at the U of M, and I am a computer science student because organic chemistry was too hard for me.
Organic chemistry has definitely been the hardest class I've had to take so far as a pre-vet requirement. I spent more hours of homework on that class than any class, and synthesis problems gave me nightmares.
And that's really the biggest difference between organic chemistry and general chemistry, is that without the understanding, you'll never be able to really make the subject more intuitive and be able to guess the right answer.
Okay, there's a problem here. So, how do we solve the problem? I'm Julia Winter. I teach at Detroit Country Day School, and for 20 years, I've taught college-level courses, AP and Organic Chem. Because of the small class size in my school, I can give near instant feedback to kids as they practice their chemistry problems. Because of that, my students have earned a 99% pass rate in AP Chem. Now, it's not organic, but it does have a similar fail rate, 40%. So there's a problem in both chem and organic chem. So how do we solve this problem? Our answer is OCP games, OChemPrep games. I did a bit of a pivot from the start. So, okay. The third student in the video sequence, Dr. Robust, he used to be Master of Sleep. I don't know where he lives. He referenced intuition. Intuition in organic chemistry is developed through the use of mechanisms, which I think of as the language of chemical reactions. Recent studies out of Clemson University by Melanie Cooper, who just moved to MSU, confirm what most professors and teachers of organic chemistry already know, that if you know mechanisms, or if you're fluent in that language, you will be 10 times more likely to succeed in the class. Okay, so there's a solution. Our first game, our big game, is called Cyclo 6. It's the mechanism game. It spans the breadth of the curriculum as puzzles. Okay, so now we need to know what a mechanism is. Aaron, show a mechanism. That's a mechanism. Now, when you're fluent in mechanisms, that totally makes sense. That's easy. It's simple. If you're not, what do those arrows mean? Well, we have a game that will teach students to learn the rules of mechanisms by playing a puzzle. Now, Aaron will play one of the many puzzles available in Cyclo 6. Like any great game, there are no wrong answers. There are just some that are better than others. So he starts with a full tank of energy at the top of the screen. And every move he makes depletes his tank a little bit. Oh, sorry about that, he messed up. And so he has to go and try to figure out where he needs to move forward in this puzzle. Oh, Aaron, you should know this. If he does it right, he will solve the puzzle. And so people will, there you go, and people will play the puzzles over and over again until they understand the mechanisms. Okay, that was really fun. So now how do we get it in the hands of the million students who need it? Well, we have a plan. Our first plan is to go get a beta test with our academic partners. And Melanie Cooper from MSU has seen our game. She said, I like that game. I want to test it. She did say it like that. It was sort of odd. And so we have 3 different professors who are ready to test our game once we get to the prototype stage. We have 3 different sales channels to get it to those students. We'll sell direct to students, daunting task, but we're going to do it, with a freemium model through Google Play and the Apple App Store. We have a distribution partner with PerkinElmer, the maker of ChemDraw. Industry standard in academic drawing software. They have extensive reach into how we'll make money. And then, oh no, shoot.
One last slide.
Oh, one last slide? Okay, Aaron, here, see Aaron? He is building another game called Chairs. He's the chief programmer for a different game that we have in development, and he'll be attending MIT in the fall. So he's in good hands. So anyway, that's OCP Games as we stand right now. So I'll take any questions.
Quick check just to make sure that we're sort of getting this on the live stream. I'm just going to pivot this
Okay.
a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Of that 40% failure rate, how many colleges do you think are using that as sort of a weeder mechanism?
Well, do they use it as a weeder or does it become a weeder? I mean, my husband's an organic chemistry professor. He doesn't design it to be a weeder. You know, it just weeds.
So you think this will?
And I've been teaching it for 20 years. And I watch the kids just pray for that epiphany to happen. Usually, because I teach seniors, please have it happen before the end of the first semester. And it doesn't always happen. And I still remember myself waiting for that moment where, oh, it all makes sense. They don't plan it to be a weeder. Honest, they don't. So it just happens. But I think kids need to, they just don't know how to, when they get there, the kind of visual learning that you need to know in organic chemistry hasn't been scaffolded to that point. And it's a whole new world for kids. And I remember that myself. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can you talk about the freemium model?
Now, this one, I've been playing with this because I know my kids that I teach will say, oh, I'm not paying anything for an app. Well, after Startup Weekend, I had a young man come up to me and I said, I'm trying to decide how to price it. He said, look at Plico.com, which is the Chinese language app suite. And he said, I never pay for apps, but I've paid $70 for Plico. Why? Because I'm paying all this money for tuition, and Plico has great products, and they've helped me. They have a dictionary, which is free, but then they have like recognition software and things like that. So the way Cyclo 6 is designed, it actually spreads through the whole curriculum, and you can actually tune it. We could sell it as a first semester pack or a second semester pack, or we could say, okay, we got the special deals Alder pack. You know, so we could sell it as little pieces, and that would add up. So that's the idea with the freemium model. And I've talked to a game developer, Jesse Shell of Shell Games, and when I explained to him, he said, price this one high. This is not just a game, though we're trying to design it so anyone would play it. This is content. This is really special stuff. So that's the idea. Yeah?
Why not charge a little bit lower so everyone can use it and want to learn organic chemistry?
Well, I think $3.99 for a special deals Alder pack is pretty cheap. I mean, a latte is $3.99. I can teach you deals Alder reaction. I'm just saying, it's not going to be ungodly expensive. Books are $250. $3.99 for a deals Alder pack. I'm not going to spend tons of money. You know, I have a suite of games in my head, so you know we could bundle all that once we get them all done. But it still won't be that expensive. Way less than a Pearson textbook. And Pearson was all over this 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Beyond what you showed in the game, is there more information that you're providing? Because it seems like somebody would trial and error. But then if they try that 2 times, are they being provided later with an explanation of exactly why that was?
Well, we envision being able to replay it so they can actually see the map that they've done. And actually the trial and error is what I can do in my classroom. I watch kids and their arrows, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. No, and eventually after you see, no, that's wrong, you understand, oh, this is right. And that's the beauty of a game. It's all about failing fast and failing often. Low stakes failing is what I like to think of with gaming. So it's fun. So
I'm asking, are they understanding why they're failing?
well, they will find the way to make those arrows work and make the bonds work, Right now, people just decorate with arrows. They don't know what the arrows mean. They just add them on as they do the mechanism. Once you really understand the mechanisms, the arrows all make sense. So the goal here is to make that happen, that epiphany happen. Yep.
Given your experience in education history, did you see the gamification of certain concepts like mechanisms replacing the homework in its entirety?
Oh, absolutely. I could tune this thing. The kids would freak out, but they said you need to have a switch where you have a practice switch and assessment switch. So we would probably market it to professors to use as assessment tools and homework tools. And I have 10 different games in my head right now. So yes.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, like we were saying at the end of the past presentation, can I have your guys' attention for a second here? Hello, hello! Welcome to A2NewTech. Yes. There will be time for discussion after all the presentations, and hopefully the presenters will be able to stick around as well. So please do stick around after the presentations if you have more questions if you want to discuss. Did anyone have any community announcements that they wanted to announce? And with the microphone situation, it might be best if you come up here. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if folks are aware about Tech Week Detroit going on next week, or this week?
Thursday.
I guess everyone is aware of it. Okay, this Thursday. All right, just make sure.
Yeah, it's an event in Detroit. It's a combination of tech speakers, of pitches, and all sorts of mixers that are going on. And I think if you Google for Tech Week Detroit, I'm sure you will find out more information.
Oh, yeah.
Other events that are coming up, Self Conference is happening in Detroit on May 30th and 31st. They got Hobo Hall in Detroit, and just a killer lineup of technical speakers. I believe there will be some speakers from Do Security there, as well as other local tech companies. And so if you want to check that out, Google for selfconference.org. There's actually a discount code for A2NewTech. It's A2-NewTech. I will post on the meetup the details if you want to take advantage of that. And then a third event to announce, Entrepreneurs Engage is a Ann Arbor Unconference about sort of the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. It's invite only, but you can apply to attend at entrepreneursengage.com. And I'll also post the information for that on the A2NewTech website. Okay, you guys ready? Okay, cool. Please welcome Nick from Jam.
Hi guys, I'm Nick. I'm from Jam, and this is Mike.
Sorry, the microphones are actually for ambient, so we are just going to stash them. Yeah.
I'm Nick from Jam, and this is my co-founder Josh.
And we're going to take it from the top. We are 2/3 of the company called Jam. If you go to the team page, we're actually going to talk about the slogan before we get to the team page, because that's more important. Forget who we are. What we do is party to the people, which is, in essence, a moniker for what we do with music and people who listen to it who are in the same spot. So let's go and talk about who we are. My name's Josh. You've met Nick. We have another co-founder named Otto. We are all seniors. Otto and I have just graduated from the University of Michigan. I'm from Chicago. Thank you. Otto's from Indianapolis. Nick's from New York. Nick has one more year because he's doing a double major. So we all are the same age. We started Jam as a senior design project in, if you're familiar with the university, a class called EECS 441. It's a senior design project, mobile apps. So music is social, music services are not. Does iTunes know who's listening to your music? No. Do they care? No, not really. Maybe they do care. Spotify, any other thing. Pandora, you have an account. You log in. They know it's you, but they don't care who else is listening to it. They should be social. Music services should be social. And what I mean by that is, if you're in a bar, even if you're with two of your friends and you're listening to music, it'd be great for the service to know, hey, Nick's listening to music and Josh is right next to him. They're both listening. Even though it's Nick's iTunes, we'd love to be able to know who geographically is listening to the music. So here's a little bit of our UI. We're not going to do a demo right now because we don't have enough time. But the idea is that this is a shared playlist that's shared by anyone in Bluetooth range of the person hosting the party. These are common terms that we like to refer to as a jam is a party. A jam is a singular event in time that's geographically centered at wherever the host is. So Nick takes his phone, starts a jam, this is what he sees. Anyone else within Bluetooth range, which is about 100 feet, can see this exact same thing. Anyone else in range can add songs, request for songs. Most popular songs get played first. So if everyone wants to hear Timber by Kesha and votes for that song, it'll go to the top and it'll play right away. So I'll hand it over to Nick to talk about what we're looking for in the future.
Yeah, so the basic premise behind the app is if you're hanging out with your friends or you're having a party or you're going on a road trip or something, instead of trading off phones and switching YouTube videos and switching people's iTunes, one person starts a jam, they plug their phone into your speakers or whatever, and then anyone nearby can request a song, see what's coming up in the queue, upvote the song that they want to hear, and the most popular ones shoot to the top of the list and get played the soonest. So right now, the app requires some active participation from everyone in a given space. If you want to hear a particular song or you want to hear music you like, you have to go and request it or you have to go upvote it in the queue. The next step for us is to automate that entire process. What we want to do is make music selection for groups as easy as it is to turn on Pandora, but where Pandora can only cater to the musical taste of one person at a time, we want to cater to the cumulative musical taste of everyone in a given environment. We call it Magic Jam. And so that's our version 2, and we're launching that this summer. And the idea behind that is you can just open up your phone, start a jam. You don't have to do anything. We'll populate it with music we know you like. And as other people come into the space, without ever having to take their phones out of their pockets, they can if they want to. They can still submit songs to the queue. But without ever having to do anything, we start to incorporate their musical taste into the mix. So the ideal use case scenario is you go to a bar that's running our system, and actually there are a couple bars that are running our system, and you just start to hear songs that you like by virtue of being there without ever having to do anything. Yeah, so our target market at first is individuals. We want to be your go-to music app when you're hanging out with your friends in the afternoon, when you're having a house party or a dinner party or whatever. After that, we want to expand to nightlife. As I said, we actually have a huge Dutch user base right now. Unknown to us, we don't know how they found out about us. But a couple of Dutch bars have started having jam nights every Friday. We get a bunch of users from that. So yeah, so that's our secondary target. And then after that, you know, we want, when you walk into Starbucks, the music that's playing is the result of the cumulative taste of everyone who is drinking coffee. Our roadmap, we launched in April. We launched a version 1.1 with a whole bunch of fixes and upgrades on May 2nd. We kind of have been keeping a low profile for the last couple of weeks as we scale up our infrastructure and fix bugs and stuff. And as I said, we're looking to do a real full-scale 2.0 launch this summer with Magic Jam and automating this whole process to make it as easy as possible for you to listen to music with other people. So, yeah, thanks guys. Questions? Yes.
Tell me about the algorithm you use to find out what music that I like before I like any music.
If you could repeat the question for the microphone.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the question was, what kind of algorithms do we use to figure out what music you like? So right now, the back end of the app is based around Spotify. If you want to host a jam, you have to be signed in with Spotify. Anyone else who joins and is just requesting songs doesn't have to be. But the host, you know, we got to pull the music from somewhere. It's built around the Spotify catalog. Our version 2 is going to incorporate a lot more than just Spotify. We're going to have Google Play, we're going to have RDO, you're going to be able to start a jam just with the songs that you have on your phone already. And then people can request songs that you have in your iTunes.
As far as favorites go,
as far as like
there are services,
learning.
if you've heard of Echo Nest, there are services that do this, that given a set of songs will return another set of similar songs. So we're not doing any of that yet. Right now it's basically like, if you favorite this song, cool, we know you like that song. On its basis level, you can think about, here, I've favorited 5 songs. When I go into Starbucks, I'm going to throw those 5 songs up to Starbucks playlists, and then if other people like them, they can vote on them. You know, if everyone has favorited a song in the past 5 days or something like that, we'll play that song. Right now it's really elementary, but we'd like to move it to do it.
The longer term plan is we know what songs go together because we have all of this information from discrete jams that happen. So if we see that this song is often played with these other songs, we can recommend those or insert those into the queue automatically. Yeah.
Can you make it so you don't have to log in with Facebook?
That's also in our plan for version 2.
I was stoked about it, and then I hit a dead end because I don't have Facebook.
Yep.
Also on the checklist.
That was
for
just to get us
version
off the ground.
Yep.
I think I saw your hand for a while. Yeah, so we don't have any money making yet. Ideally, freemium model. If a business wants to use this, right now we're running into sketchy legal ends with Spotify isn't technically allowed to be played in a commercial setting. That isn't really our liability. We're not telling businesses, hey, you have to use this, and then they have to use Spotify. But, so that's one issue, is that if we worked out a deal with Spotify, maybe we'd let businesses use this for $5 a month, $10 a month. The other idea is that you make in-app purchases for, if you add a song, you pay $1 to put it to the top. Forget about anybody voting for it. If you want it to go to the top, pay $1, it'll go up there and play next. So those are a couple ideas we have, nothing yet.
Businesses aside, are there any licensing issues with broadcasting songs from Spotify to people who don't have a Spotify account?
Spotify is free for personal use, and presumably that includes playing it with other people who aren't licensed Spotify members around. So, yeah, not so far as we know. We haven't gotten any complaints from them. Is that answering your question? Yeah.
Found any interesting things that were maybe not intuitive from all the data you're collecting? I don't know what Dutch people like.
It's surprising to me that so many so many songs that are popular in America are popular in Europe too. I mean, I can't say I have any great anecdotes about they love this song, but I mean, I saw Gangnam Style come up the other day, and I was like, people still like that song? Okay, sure. Sure.
We're only like 3 or 4 weeks off the ground, so we don't have any.
Our logging's not that advanced. No. Yeah, purple shirt.
Okay. Are jams only public, or can you just select friends?
Friends only. We have an option. Yeah.
So when you start a jam, or rather, when you open up Jam, you see everything that's going on within like a 1 mile radius of you, and then once you pick up the Bluetooth signal of a jam that you're near, you can join it and start adding songs and uploading songs and stuff. When you make a jam, you have an option to make it friends only, and then only your Facebook friends will see it. Yeah, great. Sure.
Do businesses have to have a POS system?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do businesses have to have some type of back-end or POS system?
Nope.
To see
Nope.
the playlist when you walk in?
Nope. Anyone with an iPhone can start a jam.
So if I'm a Starbucks or a small business and I want to play the music of people coming in,
A manager takes his phone, plugs it into the speakers, and then anyone nearby can join.
Yep. We're using a system called Firebase, if anybody's heard about that. It's a real-time backend that eliminates the need to pull to refresh. So with a lot of apps, you think about, okay, I have new data, I need to refresh, I need to hit the web again and ask for new data. Firebase pushes us new data as we get it, so it's our real-time backend that allows me to vote for a song and you to see that I voted for a song right away without having to pull to refresh.
Everything is in real time. Yep.
So do you agree with proximity to the starter of the jam?
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's Bluetooth proximity to the starter of the jam. We've also got a multi-host mode where multiple people can be broadcasting the Bluetooth signal for larger spaces. So if in like a larger bar or something, a manager plugs an iPad into the speakers and then walks around with their phone, both are broadcasting the Bluetooth signal at the same time.
Yeah. Green. Yep.
Say for example, like Spotify or as a human being, who's playing what song. Say Spotify just came up with a feature in their app that said, what's being listened to nearby. And they already know who's listening to what music. If I can already go on there and see that there's 100,000 people listening to Spotify, this is what gets played over the last 2 weeks. What would you guys do?
I mean, I would be happy that someone else thinks the idea is good. I don't know if we're worried about that as much. If they do that, we're trying to just put a product out there that is pretty and that people want to use. Right. If other people, I know, there's a similar app on Android. If Spotify wants to go and do this themselves, fine. We can't, we're not patenting anything right now. We're moving light, we're moving fast. We're trying to put value on the market right now, and if people like value, they'll pick it up. Right. And if we get there first and we provide value, even if then Spotify does the same thing, I don't know if we're really out that much.
Also, the point isn't necessarily to see what's popular around you. It's to make group music playing as easy as it is to play music by yourself. It's to allow multiple people into that decision-making process. All the music services that you use are designed to be used by one person at a time. We think there should be a music service that's designed to be used by everyone who's together at the same time.
Maybe we have time for one more question?
One more question, yep. Blue shirt? Or, sorry, which were you?
I was going to suggest, yeah.
Sorry?
At a feature request,
yeah.
You could have that playlist change based on kids being in the room.
We show little explicit
We had
tags.
an explicit flag, as in we also had a friends only flag, not allow explicit songs.
we took it out just because no one was using it, but it's probably a good idea.
We still show the little tags when an explicit song is going to come up. So.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
And Steve, he mentioned Tech Week. We're going to be at Tech Week on Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, there are two last important things that need to happen tonight. The very last thing that's going to happen is Steve is going to have this great presentation. Can we actually borrow your
Mac adapter?
Yeah. The most important thing is where are we going to go after A2NewTech? I think Kyle Molka had mentioned Dominic's. Is anyone interested in going to Dominic's after the presentations? I see two hands in the back. Any other venues? Let's just say Dominic's, I guess. All right.
I wish Jam could solve this problem.
Yes.
So do I.
If only there was a startup to address this. Okay, cool. So please welcome our last speaker, a longtime A2NewTech veteran, Django Steve, sometimes also known as Steve Schwartz. And I believe he's presenting on Carcode SMS today.
I am. I'm going to stand like not behind the desk here. All right. How do you start the presentation when the buttons are way on the
It's hiding behind the custom.
bottom left? There we are. Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. So before I really get going, I just want to, let you guys know I spent a long time creating a presentation from scratch for A2NewTech. This is not a, this is not a customer presentation. That's been repurposed. So I'm Steve Schwartz, at Django Steve on the Twitters and the GitHubs. So you guys might know me from Alpha Django here in town. We help build startups. But we also sometimes partner with those startups. So this is one of those startups called Carcode SMS. The other founder, we're actually three founders. It's us, Prabodha from Lansing, and Nick Gordon from Seattle. So the initial idea for Carcode SMS started back in December, and it was basically when I'm shopping for a car on a dealer's mobile website, why can't I text that dealer? So it actually started out very simply. We would build something that would put a text the dealer button on their mobile website. So just like you can click to call, now you can click to text them. So the idea is that this will allow people to, or salespeople at dealerships to text directly with customers. Why can't dealerships currently do this? Well, the one thing that dealerships currently do a lot is they allow the salespeople to text directly to customers, which means that you can't automatically opt out of that, which is actually not TCPA compliant, and they're not technically supposed to be doing it. It also means when the salesperson walks out the door of the dealership, they take all the sales leads with them, and the dealer has no idea what conversations they've been having and with whom. So they can either allow salespeople to text directly, which has a lot of problems. They can set up Google Voice or some other phone service that allows texting, but those are usually single person, and so there's no way, again, to really let the dealership know what's going on, or to have text conversations distributed amongst their sales team. Or they could set up an SMS-enabled PBX system or a personal business exchange system, which is kind of a phone system that dealerships definitely aren't technically inclined enough to know how to do or what that is. Or they could also buy a cell phone and leave it in the sales room and hope that a salesperson will pick it up and answer text when they come in. These are all kind of horrible solutions. So we developed Carcode SMS, which will assign dealerships a local phone number that they can receive texts at. When a new customer texts that number, it will be assigned to a salesperson. The salesperson then responds via the Carcode SMS mobile app. The customer can opt out at any time using a stop keyword, which makes us a TCPA compliant solution. And the dealer can track conversations in their CRM automatically as they happen. So again, this is kind of the workflow to let you see what's going on. This is the dealer's mobile website. You click the text. It opens up pre-filled text in your default texting application on your phone. And then the salesperson gets your text and they can respond from their phone. We also have a dealer dashboard. I'm going to skip a couple slides to get to some more interesting stuff. Don't need to know this. Don't need to know this. We are building an API. We're also making it private labeled. Why is this necessary? This is a recent study from Edmunds.com that shows that a third of new car buyers say that they would prefer for their first contact with the dealership to be via text message to ask simple questions about vehicles that they're interested in. And dealerships don't currently allow customers to do that. So, simple and low cost to deploy, increased value, blah, 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 blah. Again, this was not a customer presentation that has a bunch of stuff you guys don't really care about. We integrate with a lot of CRMs. Our go-to-market strategy is that we previously had a startup called Carcode.me that created mobile websites for dealers based on the vehicles in their lot and put QR codes on their windows. We tried selling that per dealer. We sold it a lot. But after a few years, it wasn't exponentially scalable. It was more kind of linearly scalable. So we ended up selling to a few hundred dealerships. We decided this time around we didn't like that method. So we are going for a more reseller-centric approach, getting other big partners who already have a lot of customers to sign up and sell us for them. We won Hackamotive in Santa Monica this year, won $20,000, got written up in New York Times, USA Today, Words Auto, et cetera, et cetera. Got a big cool foam check. The CEO of Edmunds said this about us, and yeah, that's it. Appendix with 1P, and that's our team. Questions? Yes?
Hey, tell me, how much value is there in the word SMS? If you were to change that SMS to message, email, something different, and when they click it, it shows the same option, but it doesn't go through your messaging system, through the iPhone or system, and it just sends an email. How much more value is there with SMS?
Yeah, so you're asking like, what if you had a button that said click for SMS and then you clicked it and it actually sent an email or something like that?
Say email instead of SMS.
Oh, like click to email? Yeah, so a lot of them do have click to email. Again, this goes back to customers, a third of customers say they prefer to text rather than email or call a dealership. So part of it is just the ease with which it happens. With an email, you click an email and you might be able to launch something that's pre-filled in and all that kind of stuff, but it's, customers like to, I don't know the psyche of the car buying audience at large, but people for some reason prefer text messaging because they can kind of send it, forget it, and go about their day, like get in their car, drive around, and their car will actually buzz when they get a text message back, and it's a very non-committal way of communicating. You could argue email is too, but I think customers like the fact that they're kind of limiting what the salesperson is going to send back. They know that they're not going to receive like a huge HTML formatted, buy this kind
Well,
of
the reason
email.
I ask that question is because I'm going to text with myself. I don't want a salesperson to keep texting me back and forth. It's a great idea, but I don't want to keep getting bombarded. Get enough sales calls already. So I'm getting more from a dealership on my personal number. I would rather prefer that.
That's a great point, actually. So that's one of the reasons we created this. There's a few other sort of similar solutions out there that say that they're click to SMS, but they're actually not, in that sometimes they'll launch like an instant message client or something like that. But one of the things about us is you can text the word stop at any time, and they can't text you back. They're responding through our app, so while your information does go to the dealership CRM, the salesperson doesn't actually necessarily see your cell phone number, and they can only respond through the app. And if you text the word stop, it actually disables their ability to respond or send you any further text.
So what if they necessarily see phone number? Can they still see my phone number?
What's that?
Could they still see my phone number?
No.
Why cars and not other commission-based sales positions?
Great question. No reason, because we know the car market, so we're going to attack that first. But there's that's actually one of the things after we got the write-ups and like the big newspapers and stuff like that. We had a lot of people calling us, and some have even already signed up for Carcode SMS for like non-dealership businesses, because there's really nothing totally specific about this for car dealerships. One of the things that's allowed us to implement it a lot better is that we've been able to tie in with a lot of dealership-specific CRM solutions, and we can tag additional lead-based information like what car were you looking at on their mobile website when you click to text them, and let the salesperson see that info and send it to the CRM, which would be hard to do for a wider audience all at once. So that's just the initial market that we chose to attack, because that's where our experience was with this founder. Yes?
cars in their area, or more general about, I guess, the brand of cars? I mean, is this better serviced by dealers or OEMs from a customer standpoint?
They're almost, so far from what we've seen, so while our go-to-market strategy is to partner with bigger resellers, instead of going dealer to dealer to sell it, we have gone dealer to dealer for the first couple months just so we can start gathering data in terms of how people, customers, and dealerships are using it. So we've got it at, I think, 30 or 40 dealerships right now that are using it. Most of the customers, the questions they ask tend to be car specific, like, hey, is this, red Camaro that I'm looking at on your site actually on the lot and ready to go for a test drive, things like that. That's been most of the conversations that they started. Yes, in the button down. Yep.
You were saying that right now you have a linear growth and you'd like to have an exponential or some type of growth.
Oh, that was
Have you
with,
ever
oh,
thought,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of going through somebody who works through all these medias? And what I'm thinking of is all dealers use a financing company, right? So you can pitch your idea to them as, if we empower the customers through you, you're also going to have a larger sales.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So have you thought of that?
Yes, absolutely. So the linear growth that we had was actually the last startup that we did with this founder, and it was a different product that had a very high-touch sales process, and that's why for this one we've designed it from the ground up to be very low-touch, very automated, and able to be private labeled as well. So yes, our what we've been doing with this one so far, since we developed it and started developing in December, is we've been going to like the web providers and other vendors of the dealerships and of the tier one, Ford and Chrysler and GM, et cetera, and talking to them about using it as a private label solution for their customers. So yes, exactly.
The power of marketing through channels cannot be understated. It's incredible. Yes. Thank you, Steve. Okay, that concludes our official programming for tonight. My name is Zach. I've been your host. If you'd like to present at a future A2NewTech, please email us, organizers@a2newtech.org, or come find me afterwards. Thanks, everyone.